Hey YouTube, this is the first time I'm doing this, and I'm doing it because I have a 1-month-old baby. This is my second baby, and I wanted to share with everybody the birth story because it was unique and it was cool, and the light's coming in really high. Hold on. Yeah, so he was supposed to be born. He was supposed to be born on September 14th. And I ended up having him on September 17th, right after midnight. So he was 2 days overdue. And the way that it happened was on September 10th, it was about a week before, a couple days actually before I was due. I had lost my mucus plug, and I contacted my midwife and I told her that this was it. You know, I thought I was going to be having the baby later on that night. She was ready because it was Saturday, so, and the full moon was coming. He was due on the full moon. So she thought for sure, you know, it's going to be a full moon baby, and he's hungry. Hold on. All right, so he's nursing, and I just figure I'll angle the camera up so I can continue explaining. But anyway, she thought he was going to be born, you know, within the next day or two. It turned out he was born about a week later. So he was born, mucus plug came out on Saturday, and it took one whole week. And during that week, I had spotting. I had a lot of more mucus. It just kept on coming out. So the first, it was a big blob. It was about the size of a quarter. I would say it's about a gumball. You know, it was about that size. And it came out. And from that time that it came out on Saturday, it kept on coming out after that. So it wasn't just, you know, it came out and that's it. He was ready to come out. I kept losing, after that big blob, I kept losing chunks and chunks and chunks, and it was slimy. So even the day before, right before I gave birth, that day, the whole day I was spotting, and she had checked me in the morning. I had a doctor's appointment that morning, and she had checked me, and she said, no, you're fine. She said I was ripe and she could break my water, but I wanted him to choose his own birthday. I didn't want to take that away from him. I don't know when he wanted to be born, but I wanted to give him the chance to decide. So, you know, that whole day, a week had passed from the mucus plug, and it was a Tuesday. So it was actually Monday. So Monday we had the appointment, and I had just gone over 40 weeks. So I changed my weeks every Saturday. And Saturday was a 40 week. Sunday was 40 plus 1. Monday was 40 plus 2. Went to the doctor that morning. She said I was ripe and she could break my water. But I said, no, I want to give him his own birthday. So we just kept on just going about our business for that day. And I said, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I prayed to him and I asked him a lot. I prayed to the baby. I asked him, I said, please go easy on me. You know, I heard so many times about the water breaking, and once the water breaks, that right away, it's going to be, you know, painful from that point for the second baby. So I prayed to him and I asked him so many times. I said, please be easy on me. Let the water break at the very end. Let me go to the doctor and, you know, get everything done, basically. Go through the labor and then go to the hospital to have you. So please, I asked him, please break my water in the hospital. If that makes any sense, but I'm sure people understand what I mean. Moms understand what I mean. So that Monday, the whole day, I remember I was getting pains and contractions, and I had downloaded a contraction timer. And the contraction timer, I was putting it in here and there, and you know, it was so random up until that Monday that I went to the doctor. And after she checked me, I kept on getting contractions. So it wasn't very steady. I'll see if I can put, I wonder if I can put a picture of it up here. If not, it'll be on my Instagram. But I remember not putting pictures. I remember, hold on. Okay. I remember wondering, like, is this it? Is this labor? Because I kept on getting pains the whole day, but they were manageable. It wasn't like, you know, it was a stronger form of Braxton Hicks. So it was much stronger, not like to the point where I can't speak, but it was stronger. So that day I just went about my business. I was getting contractions, every 15, 20 minutes that I thought were Braxton Hicks. And, they weren't crazy, but they were still contractions. And then I remember I went to go get Indian food because I was like, I need this baby to come out. So I figured, okay, that'll get my system going. I heard spicy food does it. So I went and I got Indian food, and I called my best friend, and she was in the area. So she said, yeah, sure, I'll go with you. So I'm eating lunch with her, and I was having contractions in front of her, and she has a son. He's older. He's about 14 or 15. But she said, are you sure you're not in labor? Because during lunch I was eating, and then I would have to hold my stomach. And, at one point it was a buffet, Indian buffet. So I was going to go up to get a plate, and I had to stop and just hold my stomach. And it was a pain that I basically had to be quiet through. I wouldn't say that I couldn't talk through it, but it just helped to be calm during that time. So that was around like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It was 2 because they closed at 3. And then once we left there, I told her, bye, next time I see you, I'll probably have the baby. So she wished me luck. And then after that, I went to Old Navy. And it was funny. While I'm crossing the street to get into Old Navy, I was getting a contraction, and there was a car in the crosswalk. A car had to stop right before the crosswalk where I was. And I was basically holding my stomach because the pain was intense. It just felt like a very strong Braxton Hicks. So it was intense. I wouldn't say like, it's hospital time, but it got intense. And the car stopped, and they looked at me, and they mouthed to me, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. So I go in the store, and I'm walking around, and I'm holding my stomach, getting these contractions every now and then. And hold on. Yeah, so I was walking around. He's done. I was walking around Old Navy, and I'm getting these contractions, and I still didn't think anything of it. Around 3:30, I went back home, and I went to cook dinner. I'm not sure if I picked up my daughter that day or my husband picked her up, but anyways, just like normal, I went and I was cooking dinner. No big deal. I was just tired more than anything because, at the end of the pregnancy, that's it. You are tired. You just want to be done. So after I cooked dinner, washed the dishes. No, I didn't wash the dishes because my sister-in-law did them when she came over. So I must have cooked something or ordered something. I'm not sure what we did, but anyways, I'm in charge of dinner. So after dinner around 9 o'clock, I told my husband, I said, I'm going to lay down because I'm tired. And, if it happens tomorrow morning, great. I want to be well rested. And he said, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. He came into bed with me, 9 o'clock. So he was watching TV in bed. I was going to sleep. So I'm not a TV person. So he's falling asleep while he's watching TV. I fell asleep around the same time, 9 o'clock, 9:30. At 10:30, I woke up with the pain of a lifetime. I remember it was so intense, and I had shut the TV off. He falls asleep with the TV on. I had shut it off because it was annoying, So I shut it off and put the remote on my side. So when I got up at 10:30 with that intense, excruciating pain, it was so bad that I couldn't get up. So I was trying to get up, and I couldn't get up, and I yelled at him. I said, Rich, I need you to help me. I need you to help me up. And he just woke up in a stupor, and he was like, what? What's going on? And I told him, I said, this is it. Oh my gosh, I'm in pain. So I remember it was a really, really intense pain. It was the actual labor pain. Like I remember from my daughter, that intense labor. You can't move. Your stomach feels like somebody's turning it in a knot. If you've ever had a kidney stone or endometriosis, it is similar. It's that real sharp shooting pain. So I had that sharp shooting pain, and I told him, I said, I need help up. Because of course you have the big stomach in front of you. So I couldn't get up. I needed help from him to get up. And he got me up, and I said, oh my gosh, I think this is it. I went to the bathroom. I was still spotting. The pink spotting. It was not like bright red blood, but it was a lot of pink spotting, like pink mucusy, slimy spotting. But I told him, I said, oh, please call your mom, call your sister, call somebody to come over and watch her. We got to go to the hospital because it was the intense pain that I felt at the end with my daughter. So he said, "Are you sure? Do you want to time them?" And I remember thinking, what the heck? I said, "This is it." So I told him, I said, "No, this is it." And he's like, all right, I'll call." So while he's calling his mom, I'm calling the doctor's office. And I got the answering service, and I told the answering service, I said, "I think I'm going into labor. It's really intense pain. It's sharp shooting pain." So they said, "Okay, do you want to get the doctor on the line, the midwife?" And I said, "Yeah." They got the midwife on the line, and she said, "Okay, sounds like you're in labor. Why don't you head to the hospital?" And I told her I live about 25 minutes away from the hospital. So I told her, I'm going to be leaving once my mother-in-law gets here. I should be there in about 45 minutes. So mind you, this was sometime between 10:30 and 10:45. I got to write down the times just so I remember it. Hold on. Let me check the, what's it called? The contraction timer, because I got to check. I took one last time beforehand. Hold on. All right. So I got the timing for the last contraction. So at 11:03, before I recorded a few more a few more contractions once I got up, and I said, "This is definitely it." So I was on hold with the midwife, the answering service, and then finally I got her. I got through to her at 11:03. And the last contraction I have recorded, because he had to call his mom and his sister and see who was coming over. His sister was coming over. She lives about half an hour from us. She got here in 25 minutes. It was so quick. So the last call to the midwife was 11:23, and that's when I told her, "Okay, my sister-in-law is going to be here in like 20 minutes, and then we're going to leave. So I should be there quicker than I thought." And so his sister got there like 11:45, and when she got there, his mom had called, and his mom was downstairs too. So we were going to go to the hospital together, and if his sister didn't get here, we would have had to wait for her. And by this point, I'm heaving ho around the house. I'm like, I remember I had to hold my hips in like this and go. And one thing that helped so much was the hypnobirthing. I took a course, an online course. I think her name is Siobhan Miller, but she's with the Positive Birth Company. And I heard so many things about her from UK bloggers. And I said, you know what? It's worth it to figure out techniques, because when it's crunch time, he's hungry. Hold on. Yeah, so I took her course at the last minute. Sorry, I know I'm trying to hide it. Maybe hide it with my hair. But anyways, I took her course because when it comes down to it, you really need to manage the pain somehow. And I felt it like, even though it was so painful, I thought that I could do it. And then I kept on telling myself, if the pain gets too bad, then I'll get the epidural. But honestly, I could feel like this is the pain at the very end. So in my head, I thought, okay, I'm not going to get an epidural. So I started using the hypnobirthing method that I took. And it was all about breathing and how the adrenaline, your body goes into fight or flight mode. And the breathing is really important to regulate your body and to keep on releasing oxytocin. So maybe in a way that made him come out quicker, because it just got crazy from that point. So I'm holding in my hips and I'm walking around the house and I'm breathing in and out, long breaths. And that's the only thing that's helping me, because the pain was intense. It was like, okay, this baby's going to come out. So his sister got here. We go downstairs. His mom got here at the same time. And my husband had to take out the car seat in the back in order for her to get in, because both car seats were in. And instead of her taking her car to the hospital, she said, I'll go with you guys. So we said, okay, the only thing is, I'm downstairs waiting, and I'm basically in labor in our parking lot. And I'm like, so it was a sight. I'm pretty sure whoever heard us or saw us must have thought it was so funny. So let me tell you the timeline that I have. So from there, we left here around like 11:55, and he was trying to speed to get there. And one of the things that I didn't take into consideration was, when you're when you're driving fast, you know how the velocity hits you and it's like the momentum, like it pushes you forward. Every time he was stopping, because he was speeding, every time he was stopping, I could feel the pressure of the baby going forward, and it caused even more pain. So it's something to consider why you want to leave earlier to go to the hospital, because honestly, we should have left like at 10 o'clock, right when it happened, but we were literally down to the wire. The baby was born, a sneak preview, the baby was born within 7 minutes of getting to the hospital. So I'll get to that point in a minute. So we're driving and we're going up the parkway. I think it was Parkway North. Yeah, Garden State Parkway North. And if you from New Jersey or you know New Jersey, when you get to the northern exits, it's like a 2-lane road at some parts. So there was a car that was behind us for a little while, and it was right when I told him to slow down, it was at the toll because he was going so fast. And then at one of the tolls where he had to stop, the entrance by our house, I remember telling him, please don't stop like that again, because the baby feels like it's going to come out. And mind you, he has a new car. So if that baby comes out, that car is ruined. So I told him, just please take it easy. You know, you don't have to speed. Just let's get there. And his mom said, okay, why don't we time the contractions while we're on the way? And she's holding me the whole time. She's from the back seat. She's holding my shoulder. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I just need to get there. Like, no amount of trying to hold my shoulder is going to help right now, because this pain is crazy. I don't want to hear anybody talking whatsoever. So I didn't care about counting contractions. So I was just, I was trying to get in my zone. I wasn't listening to anybody. I wasn't, paying attention to anything, just trying to think, I have to get to this hospital. So breathing in, I'm breathing in. She's counting the contractions, and there was a car like right before we're getting out of the exit for the hospital. The hospital is about another 5 to 10 minutes away from getting off of the exit, because it's back roads. It's in Oradell, New Jersey. So if you know the area, it's all small back roads, that area. That's it. There's no main highways to get to, and it's all 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour. That's it. So there's a car behind him that's like on his butt the whole time. And I remember hearing him say, like, I don't know why this car is following me so close. And when we got to the hospital, we pulled up. The car that was behind us was the midwife. So she pulled up right next to us, and his mom had got out of the car first, and she ran to the door where the maternity is, and she buzzed in, and she said, oh, my daughter-in-law's here, she's in labor. And they said, okay, they buzzed her in, and she gave me the signal, like, come on. So I got out. My husband left the car there. The doctor parked right next to him, because he was basically in the doctor's parking area. Doctor parked right next to him, or midwife parked right next to him, and she walked in with us, and we walked past the nurse's station. Thank God it's a small hospital, because literally, like, you're right outside the maternity ward, you walk in, they buzz you in, and you're walking past the nurse's station. So as soon as I got past the nurse's station, they were all there standing up for some reason, and they were like, oh, she's ready. I heard some comments, like they asked the midwife as she was walking in, she was like, what'd you do, pick her up from her house? And I thought it was so funny, like the timing was perfect. So I remember when I got out of the car, all I kept thinking was, I really, really have to go to the bathroom. And not poop, not number two. I had to go pee really bad. So I went to the bathroom. As soon as I got in the room, one of the nurses handed me the robe. And she said, okay, change into this, because she knew I was going into the bathroom. I said, I really have to go. And she's like, not number two, right? And I said, no, I have to pee really bad. And it wasn't, of course, it wasn't that calm. It was like, I was in pain. And I told her, like, just let me go to the bathroom, basically. So I go into the bathroom. I start stripping down because I got to pee and I got to change at the same time. I don't know how much time I have. Things got to happen ASAP. So I get in to the bathroom and I go pee, and I'm naked by this point, and I was going to put on my robe right afterwards. But as soon as I go pee, I feel a huge gush, and sure enough, it was my water. My water broke right then on the toilet. So my water broke on the toilet, and I could feel his head push down, it's a weird feeling. Like if you've had a kid before, you can feel when they're like pushing through you. It's hard to describe, but I just felt this drop and I could feel his head, and there's noises. I'm sure you've heard. If you had a kid before, you know the feeling, but there's noises before the kid is born. It's almost like it's this guttural kind of like so that's what happened. I let out one of those and I could feel like, oh my gosh, he's gonna come out. And at the same time, I'm going to the bathroom, and I didn't mean to, but also number one and number two is coming out, and I'm like, great. It felt like the Bridesmaids, that sequence in that clip in the movie where, they're all going to the bathroom. It was just horrible. And I was like, this is really happening right now. So I'm trying to wipe. At the same time, I'm naked. At the same time, they heard me yelling from outside. So they know, oh my gosh, this woman's going into labor right now. Like, not labor, but the baby's going to come out right now. So one of the nurses asked me to come out. I come outside, and right then my husband had gone out. As soon as I went to the bathroom, as soon as he got me in the room, he went to park the car, right? And so when he's coming back, the parking was right there, but he ran. So when he's coming back to the room, he sees me coming out of the bathroom naked, waddling like something's between my legs. And I'm telling the midwife, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. And my instinct was to get on the hospital bed on all fours. Like, it was just the instinct of mine. And everybody's telling me turn around. And then I hear my mother-in-law say, Tara, turn around. And her voice was the only voice that I could like recognize at the moment. So I was like, oh gosh, okay. So I turn around, and the midwife says, okay, I just need to check you, and then, we'll get you back in the gown. And she says, oh my gosh, the head is there. And she's so calm. She's one of the calmest people I've ever met in my life. And she says, oh my gosh, the head is there. All right, so we're going to start pushing. And there I am naked. Well, only a bra on, no underwear. Everything else is off. And I had to basically get on the bed, get on my back. My mother-in-law and my husband holding each side of my legs. And she's telling me, okay, just push through it. And I remember the birthing course saying, just take deep breaths out because you're pushing, you're basically trying to release it. And I could feel him pushing down. And literally we got there. We walked past the nurse's station at 12:29. His birth certificate, he was born at 12:36. That's how quick it was. So I'm floored by how fast it happened. And, afterwards, as an anecdote, my mother-in-law said, in the car, I was counting the contractions, and my husband had asked her, how far apart are they? And she said, okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. Really calm woman too. I love her. So she says, okay, we're almost there. So she said in the car, they were about 45 seconds to a minute in between. So she has 4 kids, and each time she went into labor naturally. So she knows what it means when they're a minute apart. So just thank God we got to the hospital at the right time. And it turns out he weighed 8 pounds. 8 pounds, 4 ounces. I think it was like 4.9. So it was like right at the cusp. Well, almost 8.5, 8 pounds, 5 ounces. And my daughter only weighed 6 pounds, 12 ounces. So he was much bigger. I didn't gain as much weight with him, but he was crazy. He's a much bigger baby. And he came out much quicker. And I think he listened to me. He's still nursing. I think he listened to me all that time when I said, please be easy on me. Please give me an easy birth. I thought about it so much. I prayed to him. I asked him, because he's a human being. He's another soul being born in this world. So I asked him so many times. I said, please make it easy for me to give birth to you. And I asked him, don't let my water break right away. Let me go to the hospital first and let the water break there. Don't let me go through that much pain, please. And I really feel like he listened to me. So the second birth is way different than the first birth in terms of how quick they come. And you're just more active during the labor, not labor, you're more active during the pregnancy. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But anyways, that was the birth story. After that, they put him on me. They wouldn't let me get up for some reason, and then they tried to put a catheter. I think that nurse was like practicing on me because of all the craziness that happened afterwards. Like, she tried to start an IV. They had to do everything without me signing any paperwork, without me doing any IV, without nothing. So, and thank God I was group B strep negative. So basically I could just go in and give birth. And that's what happened within 7-8 minutes. But the nurse afterwards, she was like a scatterbrain. Like, she was a really sweet person, but just a scatterbrain. She tried to start an IV in my arm, and I remember, I wish I had taken pictures of it, because she tried to start an IV and it didn't go. I guess she couldn't get to the vein, so she had to do it on the opposite hand. And then, with not even 5 minutes later, she does my blood pressure on the same arm with the where she just tried to open the vein. So the thing was all purple. I remember everybody that saw me, they were like, "Are you okay? What happened?" And my niece is she's studying to be a nurse, and she said, "Oh, that's like one of the first things they teach you in nursing school. Don't do it on the same arm, because it's an open vein. It's basically like an open wound." But, other than that, she wouldn't let me get up, and she did a catheter, and they're feeling my uterus, and they're saying it's off to the side. It was because I didn't go to the bathroom. Because I was drinking water, I didn't go to the bathroom, and, my bladder was filling up. I wish I would have just gotten up and said, "No, I have to go to the bathroom. Leave me alone." But anyways, I was in the hospital. They know the best. So I let that be. And then, I was released. I had him on the 17th. And I stayed all day the 17th. The 18th in the morning, they let me go home. It was crazy. It was quick, fast. I wouldn't say painless. It was not painless. So they called it precipitous labor, which means it's really fast. It happens within 3 hours. But honestly, I was going through labor the whole day. And then I had him, went into labor, like active labor, I guess, or transition, whatever it is, at 10:30 when I woke up from that pain, and I had him by 12:30. So yeah, within 2 hours. But that's the birth story, and I wanted to tell you it before I forget any details. And I'm going to record my daughters also, just so you can compare, and then any questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, that's it. Enjoy to all second-time moms, first-time moms, vaginal birth, unmedicated, all of that stuff, whatever way you want to do it. Have a happy birth.